Welcome to another edition of Grace Under Pressure, where my guest today is Lauren Wesley Wilson. I'll tell you all about Lauren in just a moment. Grace Under Pressure is that show that deals with what's too often dismissed as the soft stuff, the caring, the commitment that we exert toward others. And when you do it as a leader, as you will definitely discover that Lauren is, you do it with the purpose of bringing people together for common cause. Welcome, Lauren Wesley Wilson.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Great. I want to tell folks all about you. Lauren Wesley Wilson is one of the nation's leading thought leaders on media relations, diversity, and inclusion, as well as crisis communication. She is the founder of ColorComm Corporation. Prior to that, she worked as a communications strategist in DC. She has won all kinds of awards, like the Glass Lion jury at the Cannes Lion Festival in Cannes. And she's a graduate of Spelman College and my alma mater, Georgetown. But she's got a master's. I'm just an undergraduate there. So anyway, welcome, Lauren.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Your new book is What You Need: How Women of Color Can Take Ownership of Their Careers to Accelerate Their Path to Success. And that's what we're going to focus on today. So often in the hows of how we get ahead, we kind of focus on, so often it's what men do, but white men or people in the majority, as we used to be, whatever, still are, but we ignore people from different cultures, different backgrounds, different races. And so you are tackling this issue head on and with some good concrete advice, and your book is a winner in that regard. So how do you talk about something called how to take the right risks? What do you mean by that, Lauren?
Sure. So I'm excited that I have written a book called What Do You Need? How Women of Color Can Take Ownership of Their Careers to Accelerate Their Path to Success. In this book, I have a chapter on how to take calculated risks, and I dive on into what that even looks like. But I talk about that that's a principle that I believe that you need in order to advance, is to be able to take some risks in your career. And I give an example in one of the risks that I chose to take years ago. Prior to starting ColorComm, which was 13 years ago, I worked in corporate communications and strategic communications in Washington, D.C. I've had a whole career before ColorComm. And I've been the employee who's made mistakes and has navigated my journey, and now the employer. And so I see things from a completely different lens, which is why I wrote this book, is to be able to show you that I know that I've been in your shoes as the employee, but to also show you what the employer looks for in workplace productivity, good or bad. I talk about this in my book, that there was an experience that I had. I was working at a company, and there was this big honor called 40 Under 40 from PR Week, and I decided to submit myself for this award. And I submitted myself for the work that I did at the company I worked for, but then also through starting this organization called ColorComm and really changing the industry. And so I won that award, and I was the youngest person at the time. I was 28 years old, and I was winning an award for 40 Under 40. So I was under 40 and I was under 30, winning this award and being recognized for the work. And so at the time, it was a lot of feathers got ruffled, because this honor would only honor one person from the company. And so there were other people that thought they were deserving of this award where I worked, and they thought that they were going to get it, or that they had that chance of getting it. And so when they found out it was me, a person that they hardly ever heard of, they were very surprised. And but that award really helped to catapult my career in some ways, and it certainly was a value add for my company, because the company still won it on my behalf. And it was a value add in terms of my personal career. It added more value. Recruiters were calling and things of that nature, and I ended up getting a raise that year. But I was also deserving of some of the work that I'd done and the clients I had worked on. And so that was an example of a calculated risk and not asking for permission, not asking and waiting for my company to submit me. But at the same time, it's a delicate dance because that could backfire at some other places. Your company might not be happy. And so you have to kind of assess the temperature and see if that's the right move for you, because everything in your life you're not going to be able to get permission on, and you're going to have to be able to think through what makes sense at that time if you want to move ahead and you want to be able to grow in your career.
I like something that's a good story, and it has so many repercussions today. And there's something you said I want to pick up on. I did the work and I deserved it. So often, young people, young women, think that, well, yeah, I do it, but I really shouldn't show it to any, or I shouldn't brag about it. I shouldn't promote it. So when you hear that, Lauren, what do you say other than read my book?
Well, you have to ask yourself, why are you participating in self-doubt? Why is it that you don't want to showcase some of your wins or some of the things that you've done? I think there's a delicate dance, right? And sometimes you're not as, you know that you need to do it, but you don't necessarily know how to do it. And so you want to show people what you're capable of. You want to show people of what you can achieve, but you want to show people in a way that shows that you're still doing this with a level of humility and respect. And sometimes it's hard to do that. It's hard to figure out to do that without coming across as bragging. But if people don't know what you're capable of, then you're just working in a bubble. And so you do need to share or remind people, sometimes your bosses and your managers are fully aware of your accomplishments and they will provide those kudos to you and say, good job. But sometimes they're not. They have no idea what you're working on. They have no idea that you were instrumental in pushing this project forward, or instrumental in getting a client to say yes, or whatever the case may be. And so it is being able to communicate that and having emails to show that. And there's this delicate dance.
Okay, well, that's a good question, because it comes up in all kinds of sectors. So if we have a boss who is overlooking us for not malicious reasons, but just on a lack of awareness, how would you approach that individual? What would you advise to an individual, particularly a young person?
I think if you feel like you're being overlooked for whatever reason, is to make sure that you're having communication is key, and making sure that you're putting forth the effort to schedule time with your boss, whether it's 15 minutes on a calendar, whether it's swinging by impromptuly. But in order for them to know, you have to be in constant communication with them. It's not enough to just swing on by when you do wins or there's some challenges, but to swing on by often. The more you're in communication with your boss or your manager, the more they know what you're doing, and not just hiding over email and saying, well, I sent them an email, they should know. I put high priority, they should know. I followed up over email. Email is one avenue, but it takes email, it takes conversations, it takes frequent calls, and being very comfortable with your manager or boss so that they have a resource in you and you have a resource in them.
Great. So I like that. I like the term you use. I hadn't quite heard it in a management sector, but you say swing on by. So that means that I like that. Now, okay, because you made it very clear you had a career before you. Now you're the employer, CEO and founder of ColorComm. So, how do you stay in touch with your employees, or what do you advise your managers to do? So, what's your methodology, Lauren? So,
I just need to be in constant communication. I think you have to have the freedom to allow your employees to do great work, which is it's just giving them the freedom to, not too much freedom though, but giving them enough room to allow them to think through assignments, to be proactive, to come to you with issues or problems, and to be able to navigate and be able to get to their own solutions. So I think it's just constant communication.
Okay. Well, there's something now. You have a lot of tips in this, and I like the language in here. Get in on the activity. What do you mean by that, Lauren?
Did I write that in my book? Get in on the activity.
Well, it's the material I have. Work with me.
I probably did. I think one of the things that oftentimes women of color face in feedback, and not just women of color, but anybody when you're on the chopping block, so to speak, is this is not a right culture fit. How many times have we heard this is not a right cultural fit? What does that even mean? Well, I think what it means is you yourself, which is why I wrote this book called Taking Ownership, need to be aware of how you participate in the culture. So when you decide to work anywhere, you have to understand you're going to work for someone is a partnership. It's a long-term relationship. We're not in the business, at least I hope not, to say, you know what, I'm going to just work at this company for 30 days and I'm going to hop around to another company for the next 90 days and I'm going to hop around to the next company for the next 3 months. You're in a partnership with them. You don't know. There are people who've worked with me for years that they didn't know they were going to work with me for years. I didn't know that they'd be here for years. So you're in a partnership with someone and you're in a partnership with the company you choose to work at. So the partnership is more than I'm just going to do my job and go home. A partnership is getting in on the activity, is deciding that I'm going to get to know the people that I work with. I'm going to put in an effort. I'm going to go to after work events with them. I'm going to go to drinks with them. I'm going to schedule coffee meetings with them. I'm going to participate in a company-wide activity, and I'm going to volunteer and raise my hand because I want to get to know the employees that I work with. If all we do is just go to work and go home and leave, we don't really know the people around us. And so if we're not participating in the culture, if we're not getting on board with the culture, and we're not looking, and if we're not seeing our jobs as more than just that, then oftentimes, employers can say, this person's not the right fit. They don't really like working here. They don't
I
really.
think bottom line is, excuse me, and I like how you use the word partnership. We're in this for the long haul, or at least as I'm going in with an open mind toward this, and be participatory, act as a partner in this sense. So that's a powerful thing. Aligned with that, I think, is the self, and you call it, or it's the control your own value. What do you mean by that, Lauren? So.
Well, first, you need to understand your own value. You need to understand what you bring to the table. But before that, though, I won't say first. Actually, that's secondary. I'd say that what I've shared oftentimes is wherever you work, you need to know what the company values. What do they value? And the only way to increase your value is to have more of what the company values. So the company could value a variety of things. They could value clients. They might put their value on a marquee client that brings in $10 million a year to them. They could value one of their products. Their products could be a huge revenue driver to the business and to the portfolio. They could be valuing certain media outlets because that helps them drive more business sales. Much of what we're talking about has everything to do with the company's bottom line and their revenue stream. And everything else is secondary. But if we think through what the employers think through, all these groups and all these groups and panels and perks and activities and happy hours and basketball games and box seats and all these different things that come up that a company can have that employees participate in is so that if we better know the people that we work with, we're going to better contribute to workplace productivity, which in turn contributes to the bottom line. It helps if you feel comfortable and safe working with your employees, you're going to work better together. And in turn, that hopefully means that you're going to produce better work, which produces more money to that company. And that's why all these things exist, is spaces where you can get to know your company's business, the individual, that allows you to contribute to the bottom line. And so if you know how you play into that, what your role helps to contribute to that, you're going to become more valuable where you work.
Okay. Germane to that is knowing your value, exercising it, knowing your corporate culture and how you fit in and how you can make yourself fit in. You have to think of either move up or move out. As an employer, why did you say that?
Because Well, one, I want you to think of yourself in two categories. Are you primed to move up, and what do you need to do to move up? And then when is it time to move on? And so as it relates to moving up, employees often want things very quickly. And what I see in this new climate is that employees are overtitled and underskilled. Post-COVID, overtitled and underskilled. You want the title really quickly, but you don't have the skills to back it up. So you decide that you're ready for a promotion, your company's not promoting you, you're going to go hop to another job. Then when you get there at that another job, they have a level of expectations that you're unable to meet because you're working in a climate where a lot of companies, it's illegal to ask you how much you used to make. And there's all these different parameters now. So you're kind of pulling the wool over employers' eyes. But employers are very smart. They want to see you produce. And if you're unable to produce, then you find yourself hopping around until someone catches you. Or you find yourself learning the hard way, being laid off or fired because you're not able to produce. And so you want to be able to create a portfolio of meaningful experiences where you are, which takes time. You're not going to be promoted right away. You're not going to get always what you want, but you want to be in an environment that says, I recognize your growth, I'm working with you, and we're trying to get you there. And then also there could be an environment where you set a plan with your manager, you've met all these expectations, they've set it too, but they just don't have more money for you for whatever reason. You're just not going to get promoted here. You're just not going to get a title change here. And you've done all that you can do. And being able to list out some of those needs that aren't being fulfilled allows you to make an informed decision that maybe somewhere else might be the best fit for me. But I'm talking to a group of people, though, in this post-COVID environment who want it all fast. They see the benefits, they see the perks, they see they see all that, they want it all fast. And they're not sometimes willing to do the work because it's work, it's a process to be able to get to where you want to go. And so I want people to take a step back and to take a pause and see it's not about racing to the finish line. It's not about getting a promotion after 1 year because you thought you were owed that. It's really about setting a set of goals, thinking about your career as a long-term strategy, and being able to walk away with a portfolio of meaningful experiences that show that you can execute and you can deliver. No matter if you get fired, let go, or choose to walk away, you have something. You've been at a company long enough to say, I have something of real value to contribute.
Okay, part germane to that, as developing one's own career, you have an interesting phrase, which I hadn't quite heard, but I want you to explain it. Find a godfather or a godmother. What is that?
Well, we talk a lot about mentors and sponsors, and we know what a mentor is, or someone who's helping you in your day-to-day career, or your day-to-day happenings and dealings. A sponsor is someone who doesn't have all the minutia of your day-to-day, but they know that they're there to provide opportunities. They're there to say your name when you're not in the room. They're thinking about you for additional opportunities that can propel you. And a godfather, godmother relationship is someone who has a lot of access, resources, and knowledge that can point you in a direction that could save a whole decade off your career because you're associated with them. There's someone that you don't call day to day for favors. There's someone that you don't call day to day for advice. There's someone that if you're really, you could be in a bind, or you might not be in a bind at all. You might just be just fine. But you're looking for them to think about you. You're looking for them to invite you in. Maybe you need to remind them, and they do. And that changes your career trajectory for you. That opens your eyes to a world of possibilities that you didn't even know existed, rooms that you didn't even know were built. And they allow you in, and they can really catapult you to the next level because of the mere vouching for them, association for them, etc.
So a godfather or godmother is, if I understand you correctly, a combination of mentor and sponsor, or is
They're
it?
they're in a completely different category. They're in a completely different category. You come to them through a part opportunity, part luck. They are people that are well known. They are celebrities in their field. They are well known in their field. They are people who are high performers. Their bar is here. It's not here. They're not mentors. They're not sponsors. They are door openers. It's like if Bill Clinton was your godfather, or Oprah was your godmother. I mean, they're not figuratively, literally that related to you, but they're those people. And it might not be to that level. There are people at a few levels down, but that's the example, is someone where you can turn to your left or your right and you can mention their name and you want to be associated with that person, and that person has looked out for you in rooms and opportunities.
Okay. That's a fascinating relationship. It sounds like,
Yeah.
so how does one find a godfather, godmother? Part of it may be luck, but can we create our own luck in that regard, Lauren? So
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is luck. It's timing, it's opportunity. Much of succeeding in the workplace has a lot to do what you're doing outside of work. And being inside the office is a small portion of it. Yes, we want you to do good work. You want to be advocating for yourself. You want to know what some of the projects you should be working on. But a lot of your abilities to succeed and rise has everything to do with outside of work. And it's very much equivalent to, like, let's all take it back to when we used to go to school, right? We go to class, but then we have homework. When we get home, we have homework. We have homework that eventually prepares us for the test, but we have homework, daily homework, daily homework, daily homework. And at the end of the semester, you're going to get a test on your homework, on what you learned in the classroom, and you're going to get a test. And we hope you don't just pass, because passing is a C. We hope you excel. We hope you get that A. We hope you are able to catapult yourself to the next level. And so much of us is our homework. Homework looks like, are we investing in ourselves and getting other training, outside training, to do the job better? Are we going to conferences to meet people in our industry so that we have the information, so that we're fully aware of our peers' compensation? How much does my peer make at this company? How do I know what I should be asking for if I don't really know what the industry standard is, or the going rate for salaries? So how do I go to conferences and events that allow me to build my network with my peers, but then allows me to create and find those relationships that could be godmothers or godfathers, people that are speaking on panels, people that maybe it's even the organizer of the event. How do you start to build relationships outside of where you work and that are industry focused, or they could just be generally focused? But you have to get out there. You have to do your homework. You have to make an effort. You have to learn. And it can't always be, my company's not paying for it, so I'm not going. My company isn't paying for me to go to this conference, so I'm not going. We put our money into what we value. And so we need to, if we want to grow or ascend in our careers, we need to carve out some budget in our yearly budget or yearly salary and say, I'm going to put this away so I can reinvest back into myself.
Right. Well, I'm sensing a theme in your work and your talk together in our book, and it's self-determination. And so often I think we undersell ourselves, but at the same time, a sub-theme of what you've been talking to me is you got to put in the time, you got to put in the work, you got to put in the effort, and you got to know where you're going. So you have to be both tactical and strategic. Did I get that right, Lauren?
Yeah, I mean, you have to think of yourself in some ways as your own business, the business that you work for, but then the business of yourself. And because at the end of the day, your company is responsible for your livelihood. They're determining your value in your paycheck. How much they choose to pay you is what you're deciding to live on, right? It's how you're able to buy your house, buy your car, pour back into your kids if you have them, is based off that salary and maybe that of your partners. But they're determining that for you. And if you decide you want more at any given time, or that this is not enough, there are things that you have to do to be able to get more where you work or anywhere where you go. It's determining that value.
Powerful thought. And the subtitle of your book is What Women of Color Can Take Ownership. And so I can, it's tough enough to get through to succeed on your own. Well, not succeed on your own, but work diligently toward it. It's my opinion, it's harder to be a woman, and it's even harder if you are of color or a minority. So when you speak to young folks, young women of color, what's your advice to them, Lauren? If they say, well, I really can't do that, what do you say to them? So,
my advice is to do the best work that you can. And if you fall short in any area, go get the information that you need and reinvest in yourself and go do your homework. What I want to see, we know that as women of color, we know the challenges we face in the workplace. We've talked a lot about microaggressions. We've talked a lot about the inequality in the workplace. We've talked a lot about pay, equity. We know what's stacked against us, but I want to encourage those who are women of color to be able to compartmentalize. Because if we let what is in the workplace oftentimes can distract us from the long-term goals, because we need to be able to compartmentalize workplace behaviors, realize that everyone is not perfect. Everyone is not perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. Bob, Jane's not perfect. Nobody is perfect. And so there could be curiosity with positive intention, and there can be curiosity that is offensive and negative intention. And so you need to be able to compartmentalize, separate the two, but understand that you are responsible for your career, to take ownership of workplace productivity and be able to navigate the working world to be able to get what you need so that you are valued, respected, seen, and understood.
Yeah, seen, respected, and valued. That's a powerful theme. So, Lauren, we could keep on going, but I know that you have a very busy schedule. And the theme of my show is Grace Under Pressure. And so I always ask guests to share a story about grace. Is there something that you'd like to share with us, Lauren?
Sure. I started ColorComm 13 years ago, and 9 years ago, I decided to leave my full-time job in Washington, D.C. with a beautiful office and a beautiful view and a 6-figure salary and health insurance and a lot of respect. And, to leave that job 9 years ago to run ColorComm, this business full time, and to employ a staff and to grow and to be able to make this my full-time job. It wasn't at the time. There were 4 years where this was something that was on the side, and I was working in a really great position in DC, and I decided to do that. And it was a lot of pressure, and I had to give myself grace, but it was a lot of pressure because now I was entering into entrepreneurship, and I was being able to navigate those waters of trying to continue to grow a business, trying to develop infrastructure, trying to be able to participate in an environment that I hadn't been before. And so, when you decide to make those big decisions that are risky, that are scary, that are all encompassing, it's important to give yourself grace, but it's also important to be prepared, because that's the way that you're going to get through new terrain, is by being prepared and having a plan and being able to execute that plan. That's the only way. And I am very proud, that 9 years later, we've only continued to grow. And this is the longest job I've ever had is working for myself.
What a powerful thought. And I love your theme of preparation, because that underscores all the diligence and the effort and the homework and the purposeful networking and all the things that you've talked about. It's a wonderful wrap. Lauren, how can people find you?
Okay. Thank you. You can certainly find me on LinkedIn, because I know we're LinkedIn Live. I'm Lauren W. Wilson. I need to change my settings, because if we don't have somebody in common, you can't really find me. You can certainly find me on Instagram at Lauren Wesley Wilson. I am posting a lot there right now, especially as it relates to my book tour. We're on a 7-city tour. Also, my website, laurenwesleywilson.com. We are responsive there. But I hope to see you all on our book tour, and please support the book, because I think it's a book that is truly intergenerational. It's a book that is for everybody at any stage for your career. And I know that you will learn a lot no matter who you are. This book is certainly needed.
Lauren, thank you for your time. And what do you need? A powerful book that asks a powerful question, and best part is provides lots of answers. Lauren, you've been wonderful to be a guest, and I thank you. And with that, we will go out. So,
all right. Thank you so much. Bye.